right, everybody. Welcome to Dad Talk today. I got a very special show coming up for you. Got a buddy on here I haven't talked to in a while. Two-time world champion boxer. He was in Creed 3. He's got a whole list of credentials we're going to be talking about. Yahya McClain. What's going on, man?
Hey, man, it's your world. I'm just living in it.
Yeah. So I see that you're getting back into promotions, in which everybody, that was the flyer that was coming into the show. Tell us about this event you got coming up, Yahya.
It's called The South Got Something to Say About Boxing. You know, I've been boxing all my life, and I've been a promoter for a good part of my life. And I just decided to get back in it because the South is being overlooked. And I've been living here in the South for a good many years now. And so I really feel like the South got something to say about boxing. So I started back promoting. Of course, you know, I promoted all of Layla Ali's fights. And I promoted about, maybe 6 more fights after her. But it's been about 10 years since I've promoted. So the last one was just November 23rd this year. Well, last year. November 23rd. I promoted the first fight back, and that was called The South Got Something to Say About Boxing, and it was awesome. I had the Rahman brothers there, Hasim Rahman Sr., Sharif Rahman, Hakeem Tito Lopez, Macho Moreno. I had a bunch of good fighters and popular fighters on that card, and it was almost a sellout. But this one is going to be a sellout. Because you know why? Because all your fans are going to be there.
There you go, man. How does it feel to be back in the promotion game?
Man, I love it, man. I can't believe I was gone this long, but I love it. And, like I said, there's so much going on in boxing right now. So much money to be made in boxing right now. So many opportunities to help these young kids get a real career going down here in Atlanta, Georgia, in the South, because I really feel like we get overlooked. Of course, Brian Norman Jr. is the youngest the youngest world champion boxer in the world right now. And he is from here, Decatur, Georgia. And his father is fighting on the card on February the 15th. His father's fighting because Brian Norman Jr. is 147 world champion, and Boots Ennis out of Philly is also a world champion. And so Brian Norman Sr. and one of the trainers for Boots were on a podcast, something like this, and got into it and started talking trash to each other. So it was getting settled on the card. The South Got Something to Say About Boxing, February 15th.
Well, let me ask you about that, man. Why do you think that the South gets overlooked so much?
Man, just like Andre 3000 said many years ago at the Source Awards in 1996, when everyone was talking about, and I'm from New York, but I love the South. I love the A, and I got to stand up for him because I've been here for so long. But like he said in 96, that everyone was overlooking the South as far as the hip-hop game. And look what happened now. It's one of the meccas. It's a mecca of hip-hop is in Atlanta now. And so I feel the same way about boxing, because there are so many talented fighters here that, if given the right opportunity, could really do something with their lives and become world champions as well. I mean, you got to look at Vernon Forrest, Evander Holyfield, Brian Norman Jr. I mean, these are all natives of the South down here. You know what I mean? This is what I know, this is what I love, and this is what I got to promote. It's in me. I got to do it.
Well, man, let's go back into your history and your roots and show people just how far this goes. I mean, not many people can say, former father-in-law, the greatest of all time, Muhammad Ali. You was married to Layla, trained her. Let's go back even before
I
that.
was
How did you find yourself going
not.
into boxing in the first place, Yahya?
Well, I wasn't the former father-in-law. He was the father-in-law. I was the son-in-law.
Oh, yeah.
um, but I'm sorry, I missed the question. I was trying to make a joke.
Yeah, no, you're good, man. It's like, how did you find yourself getting into boxing in the first place? When did you discover this was something you wanted to do, and how did you start getting involved in it?
Okay, so when I was around 8 years old, well, younger than that, I've always been skinny, and I had I had a big curly afro, and growing up in New York and Jamaica, Queens, people try you, they talk crazy to you and all that, and I never let anybody get away with it. So I was always fighting. I remember I got kicked out of Head Start because I knocked the dude's tooth out because he was calling me names. And so in my neighborhood, this kid, a couple kids start trying to call me. Now, I was never bullied. I was attempted to be bullied, but it never went down like that. But a couple kids, they used to try to, because my name was Johnny McClain, and they used to try to call me Joanna because I was tall and skinny and I was a pretty boy and I had a big curly afro, and they used to call me Joanna. And then I used to whoop that butt. So then I found myself being a skinny kid, handsome dude, always patting my afro, dudes talking junk, and I end up talking junk back, and then I end up whooping them. And then what do I see on TV? Muhammad Ali. Dudes talking junk to him, and Muhammad Ali talking junk back to him, patting his afro, and him whooping their butt. I said, that's what I'm going to do. So I started begging my moms to take me to the gym, and around when I turned 10, we moved to Long Island, and my uncle took me to, of course, my mother told him, said it was cool to take me to the boxing gym. Took me to One Punch at a Time gym on Main Street in Hempstead. That was Howard Davis Sr.'s gym. Howard Davis Jr. is the Olympic gold medalist in the 76 Olympics with all the other greats. But he took me to him, and that's when I began my boxing career.
So Muhammad Ali was your favorite from the very beginning?
Off the rip.
Yeah,
Yep.
man. When did you end up doing your first bout?
I know that with Howard Davis Sr., he was a hard, stern, and the first thing we did, we got on the line. First thing you did when you walk in the gym, you get on the line. You don't get no headgear on. You don't put no gloves on. You don't get in the boxing ring. There's a line on the floor, and you get in your boxing position. One foot on one side of the line, the other foot on the other, and you walk the line. You learn how to walk that line and learn how to use your jab. And I did that for about 4 or 5 weeks, every day, and that was it. And I mastered that joint. And my jab became my best weapon. But that being said, we didn't, it was some months, maybe 4, 5, 6 months or so before I ever had a boxing match. Maybe even longer. I don't remember. I was young.
Yeah. So I was looking it up. Said 36 bouts in your professional career. Like, was there other fights that did not get listed there though, Yahya? I would imagine there would be like a good bit of amateur fights leading up to that.
Oh yeah. So I had my amateur record was 77-7, something like that. 87, so I can't remember. 77-7, something like that. Yeah.
Oh wow, man.
But yeah, I didn't have any, like, there's no in boxing, the box rec, is that what you're looking at?
Yeah. I was looking at your boxing record on here, saying
Yeah.
36 bouts, 150 rounds.
Yeah,
25 knockouts.
that's your professional record.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was looking at that on there.
I had
That's
84
that's
amateur fights. I had 84
how many?
84.
84.
84 amateur fights. That's not a whole lot, man. These guys be having 200, and that's not a whole lot, because the reason was once we moved to Vegas, Vegas is so hot in the summer. I used to quit boxing every summer. I was not going running. I was not going to that metal. We had a metal tin gym, the Golden
In
Gloves box.
Vegas?
Yeah, it was a Golden Gloves boxing gym in Vegas. It's
Oh,
a very historic landmark. But man, I used to quit every summer, man.
I can imagine, man.
But
I can imagine. I mean, was there anybody that we might know who you're talking about that was coming up with you?
oh man, everyone came up in that gym, the Golden Gloves gym.
Yeah.
Well, one Roger Mayweather was my trainer, and he came up in that gym. Um, Roger Mayweather. Who else? Uh, Jeff Mayweather. Um, Augie Sanchez. Of course, Floyd Mayweather, but he didn't come up in that gym. But he was with Roger, and when he moved to Vegas, that was the gym that they came to initially. Um, Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, that was his gym every time he fought in Vegas. I mean, a boatload more.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What you call it? I can't remember their names. It's a
So I'll
boat.
get now. Roger was Floyd's uncle.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, but it's a boatload of them, man. Everybody been through there. Not only the fighters, but the trainers. You know, Freddie Roach. Freddie Roach came up in their gym as well. Freddie Roach. What you call it? Uh, Freddie Roach was my trainer also. Virgil Hill trained at that gym. I remember when Hector Camacho came to town, he rented out the gym and gave all the kids in there $100 each just to let him use the gym for the day. Eddie Futch was a trainer there. Doc Brodus was a trainer there. Doc Brodus was the trainer of George Foreman. Eddie Futch is a legendary trainer of many. Riddick Bowe. I mean, you can just go down the list with that one. But yeah, man, that gym was historic.
Around what year was it that you decided to go professional? And what's that transition like going from amateur to professional? I would imagine it's a pretty big transition.
I turned pro in 1990. The transition, I mean, when you've been doing it for so long and you have, it's all about guidance. If you have the right
Yeah.
people with you, it's not a really, I mean, it's still a huge thing. It's a monumental thing because this is what you've been training for your whole life, to become a professional fighter. So for some like me, it was huge. It was really a big thing. And I was blessed to fight on the undercard of Iran Barkley and Nigel Benn.
Mm.
That was a great, great fight. And it was at the MGM back in Vegas, way back in the day. And I fought at 11 o'clock in the morning. It was that many fights on the card. I fought at 11 o'clock in the morning. And the only people that were there was my family and a couple friends. And that was about that was about it. Wasn't too many people there.
And that was a pro bout?
Yeah, that was my pro bout, my pro debut.
What was the money like back then, Yahya?
$400.
You was rich, man.
Yeah, whatever. Them kids today, boy. That's what I'm saying, man. Like today, these kids have no idea how good they have it. And if
You have
they,
any sponsors or anything back then?
man, I didn't have nothing.
Dude, how did you exist, man?
I didn't have no manager. Um, I was on a top rank card, and I don't know why Top Rank never signed me. but they didn't like me for whatever reason. But I fought one of their fighters and whooped their butt.
And this was after you got out of the Marines, right?
Say again?
That was after you got out. I know you
Oh,
you had
yeah.
a career in the military as well.
Yes. That was
Yeah,
after.
man. And so how long by 1990 had you been fighting Yahya?
How long?
Yeah.
So, uh, like 10 years, 9,
10.
10 years. I've been
So
fighting in life though. Like I said, when I was 5, I was fighting. So, you know, I've been fighting all my life. If you could see these, if you could see all of those marks on my knuckles, those come from teeth. In boxing, you wear gloves. You don't get cuts on your knuckles from boxing. These come from the streets. All these
yeah.
teeth marks. So I've been fighting, or literally fighting all my life.
Um let's talk about that first championship. I know you two-time world champion boxer. Tell us about the first time you won the belt.
So it was a really big thing. Like, for one, I'm a Muslim, and the month of Ramadan, we're supposed to fast, and I did fast. So first of all, the fight was in South Africa. Okay, let me just go back. Okay,
Yep.
before that belt, let me just talk about this real quick. Before that belt, I won the WBC Continental belt. Okay, when I won that belt, the first time I won it, I fought Yahya McClain, a white guy with my same exact name, and we fought on Juneteenth. It's on my record. Look it up. Yahya McClain on Juneteenth. There was no way. And we were fighting in Albuquerque, New Mexico, his hometown. There was no way I was not coming out of there with that belt. It was Juneteenth too. I mean, I had to summons my ancestors, but I had to walk away with that belt. And I knocked
Yeah.
him out in the third round. I knocked him out in the third round, and I won the title. Now, this is where bad management comes in. I had a manager that was so greedy. I'm not going to say his name and throw him under
Yeah.
the bus. He knows what he did. But I had a terrible manager who was so hungry and so thirsty and didn't care anything about fighters that 28 days later, he had me in the ring again fighting. If you can look at it, it's all on my record. I'm so thankful for BoxRec. But 28 days later, he had me defend my title against Egerton Marcus. Egerton Marcus is a bronze medalist from Ghana. He's Lennox Lewis' sparring partner and good friend. Like, excuse me, he ain't no joke at all.
No
Like,
pushover.
man, it hit like a bull. I mean, so I didn't want to fight. I was like, nah, man, I'm not fighting 28 days later, man. Get out of here. But it happened. And so we fought. And in the first round, he dropped me. And I laid out like a Jesus piece. I was just out like this. And then I heard the ref. The ref says 7, 8. I said, oh shit, I just got this belt. And I jumped up, and we ended up going 12 rounds, and I kept my belt. But man, I'm talking about terrible management. Okay, so then that leads me. I left that manager after that. I left that manager, and then I got with Arnie Rosenthal. Arnie Rosenthal, good guy. Still to this day, it's my guy. He brought me to a promoter, Cedric. Man, how can I forget Cedric's name? I forgot Cedric's last name just now. It's because for
You've
my
been in boxing for years, yeah. I don't, I ain't holding it against you.
I'm dealing with my fight right now, and my matchmaker's name is Cedric.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah. So I'm trying to think of the other Cedric. It's too many Cedrics, man. But anyway, I can't remember Cedric's name. I can't believe it. But anyway, he was a big promoter. He was one of the big promoters, but he's passed away now. So R.I.P. to my man Cedric. But he signed me. So I was finally signed with the promoter. After all these fights, after winning the WBC Continental belt, defending it, now I finally get a promoter. And he goes, so I broke my hand. It was my hand. No, my rotator cuff. My rotator cuff got tore. I was in training, and I was sparring with Eli Dixon right here in Atlanta. Eli Dixon like 300. And I was messing around with him, joking around, and he got mad and said, ah, and threw the overhand, and I went to block it like this, and his fist hit my arm right here and just took it back. And you heard it tear. So I let it rest a while. I started doing some kind of therapy and everything. And then we went down to Florida. My manager's still pushing the issue about fighting. So we went down to Florida to spar. I was supposed to be fighting John Ruiz. I don't know why he felt like we need to go to Florida to spar to fight somebody like John Ruiz. There are plenty at that time, there were plenty guys that I could have sparred that were heavyweights or whatever to fight somebody like John Ruiz. Not plenty, but there were a few. But anyway, we went down there and there was nobody for us to spar. That's when I met Antonio Tarver. So we go to spar Antonio Tarver, which is a light heavyweight. He's an amateur still. He's a light heavyweight, and he's southpaw. It made no sense at all. Anyway, we went to spar, and in the first round, he hit me like, bap, bap. I was like, I couldn't even move my arm. And I just got out the ring. I was like, man, I'm not fighting, man. And I told the dude, I said, I can't do nothing with my arm, man. This amateur dude, even though Tarver, that's my boy now. Yeah. But Tarver is, he's a legendary fighter. But at the time, he was an amateur fighter to me, and I was a professional. So, I felt some kind of way, especially because I couldn't do nothing with my arm, knowing that I had a rotator cuff tear. And so I told him, man, we got into it or whatever, and we were staying at my aunt's house. My aunt my mother and her just recently met each other. My mother and my aunt, they were sisters and didn't know it, and they recently had, prior to that, they had just recently met each other. So she invited us over for dinner. So we went to dinner at my aunt's house. And this guy is talking, cursing, calling me a pussy in front of these people. I don't even know my people. And I told him, I tell you what, if you don't get up right now and get out the house and don't ever speak to me again in life, you're going to see what kind of pussy I am. And I kicked him out the house, and we drove down to Florida in my car. So I don't know how he got back. But that was the last time I dealt with that guy. So then after 2 years later, because of my rotator cuff, I come back, Arnie Rosenthal, Cedric Kushner. There you go. That's the promoter. Arnie Rosenthal gets me signed to Cedric Kushner. Well, Cedric Kushner is from South Africa, and he tells me, I have a fight for you. Yeah, we got a fight for you for a world title. I can't do it. That's not how he talks. That's terrible. That's terrible. Said, please forgive me. but yeah, it was he offered me a fight to fight for a world title in South Africa against a South African who's younger, and I think he had one loss at the time, and bigger, because this is when the it's called Bridgerweight now, but it's but back then it was called Super Cruiserweight. And so that's what they offered me to fight for. And so I was like,
What kind of weight difference are we looking at between that, Yahya?
from 175 to 190 was cruiserweight. And
Okay.
now it goes 190. It went to I think 204. 204.
And for somebody that there's probably a lot of people listening that's never been in the ring, how big of a difference does that weight make?
It makes a great difference because the guy that is bigger, that like Peter Smith, that's the guy I fought, was already going to be fighting at heavyweight. So he's coming down from heavyweight. And I was already a small guy going up. I was a small cruiserweight. I was a small light heavyweight for many years, you know? So
Yeah.
it's a big difference. But, it was a great opportunity. And this is the moment I've been waiting for all my life, to fight for the world championship. And the irony is that I had a girlfriend that I had just broke up with. We just broke up. No need to mention any names. But at that time, my mother was very nervous. First of all, I went over to South Africa. It was me, Arnie, and Bill Slayton. Bill Slayton is another legendary trainer that I've had the opportunity to train with. He trained Ken Norton. And so we went over to South Africa. And before I left, my mom was very nervous, and a lot of people were nervous. And I told them, don't worry about a thing. And then I said, hey, we're going to South Africa. That's the song I'm going to come out to. Don't worry about a thing. Bob Marley. Every little thing. All right, so
Marley.
Yeah, man. So that was the song I came out to. And when I came out to that song, the crowd kind of went with it. They was like, they could appreciate Bob Marley. And they're like, I guess they could appreciate the fact that I was appreciating Bob Marley. So they all started clapping, and it was dope. Now, let me tell you, let's get back before we go on. Let's get back to the Ramadan part. Okay, so I'm training during Ramadan. I'm fasting while we're in the States. But when you travel, when a fasting Muslim travels, you no longer fast. You have to break your fast. So I was able, I don't know if you have to, but you're able to break your fast. And I was able to break my fast and restore my body of all the nourishments and the water and the food and the energy and everything that I had depleted myself of for the sake of Allah. But this is all Allah's plan. So I was able to eat. And Peter Smith was taller than me. He was bigger than me. He was cut up. He had a great record. What's his record at that time? Like 19-1 or something?
Hey, look.
Yeah, something like that. It
17-1.
17-1, right.
Yep.
Great record in his backyard. And it was amazing, man. So the fight came out, and the first round, it was beautiful. He came out, he tried to, bully me and all that, but I came out using my jab and all that. And then I knocked him out in the first round. And I tell you, when I won the belt, I just dropped to my knees and just thanked Allah and just couldn't believe it. I could believe it, though. I could believe it. Let's not say that. It was just beautiful. It was something that I waited for so long. All my life, I trained for it. All the sacrifices, all the people telling me I can't do something and you're crazy. You think, what makes you think you can do that? And, people saying, this ain't the streets, boy. This is something different. This is professional. You know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. And so it was a, okay, look at me now moment. But more than that, it was the feeling that it gave me was the gratitude, just to know that this is what I knew that I could do, and alhamdulillah, I was able to do it. And I mean, it was beautiful.
What kind of difference at that time in the money once you reached that level? Yeah, we went from $400. I'm just curious, man, because I hear these guys now, and I'm like, man, they're making a lot of money versus what you guys brought in.
At 100%. Now I went from $400 to a whole bunch more money.
Okay.
I made way more money, but was still underpaid. Nowhere near what these guys are making now.
Well, you had to pay the trainers and everybody else as well, right?
That still goes on with everything right now. I mean,
Yeah.
all of this today, that still happens. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even remember what that fight was for. I don't even think it was 100,000 for a world championship, and it was just the greatest accomplishment for me, man. It felt so good, and just to know that this is what I've been training for all my life. And then someone had the nerve to try to steal my gloves.
Uh-oh.
And then somebody told me who had them and where they were, and I told the driver, "Let's go." And they said the guy that took the gloves lived in Soweto. Soweto is bad, bad, bad. Well, back then it was. I said, "Let's go to Soweto." He said, "Are you sure? You don't?" I said, "Man, I trained my whole life for this. If I got to die for this, then that's what it is. Let's go get my gloves." And I got my gloves to this day. Where they at? He ain't stealing back, did he? I got him somewhere. That's crazy. But anyway,
I couldn't believe how heavy those belts were behind you
yeah,
when you brought them to the TV station that one day we was recording. I was like, dang, man, it's one thing to see them on TV.
yeah, yeah, man, and it was something special, man. And then I had the wildest, terrible, my worst night in boxing when I lost my belt, my first title defense. Remember you asked me about sponsors earlier?
Yep.
Well, now I got sponsors. I was sponsored by Fubu. You remember Fubu back in the day?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was sponsored by Fubu, and I was I was the I was fighting Ezra Sellers. And Ezra Sellers is also passed, so R.I.P.
Oh,
to
man.
Ezra as well. But I was fighting him, and he is a stablemate of Roy Jones.
Okay.
And I just was like, okay, I had a whole game plan in my head. Roy Jones was the main event. This was on pay-per-view. Roy Jones fighting Montel Griffin in the rematch when Montel already beat Roy the first fight. This was the rematch. And me and Montel are tight. That's my boy. And I was fighting Ezra on the undercard, the co-main event. And man, it was crazy. So we shared a dressing room. That was the first mistake. Then we let them. Well, Montel. Let's just get to my point. So my fight, and I say this because everyone swears I got knocked out. I did not get knocked out. I've been knocked out before. I have no problem admitting if I got knocked out. I did not get knocked out. What happened was the fact that I was sponsored by Fubu the whole week of that we're there the fight week. I'm walking
Yeah.
around. I'm confident, but I don't have any kind of feelings. There's no nerves, no jitters. I'm just, yeah, I'm gonna go fight Saturday night. I'm gonna fight. It's gonna be on pay-per-view. Do. You know what I mean? And it's just crazy because I've never felt that way before a fight. Every fight, I don't care who it is, I've always felt a little nerves. Like I've always said to myself, okay, yeah, let's go. You know, I've always had to have that talk
Yeah.
with myself. But this time I didn't have no talk with myself. I was just too busy worrying about I'm the champ. Because my plan was, this was my plan, was after I beat Ezra Sellers, I was going to tell Roy Jones, come here, chump. I want you next. I don't want none of your sparring partners, none of your stable mates. I want you. That's really that was my plan. But you know how they say, man plans and God laughs, because God's the best of planners.
Let me ask, man. I mean, that sounds like that whole Rocky movie. You know, you work to get there, and once you get there, it's like or like with Mike Tyson, and it's like there becomes a little level of comfortability. Here I am, I'm at the top, I'm the champ. Is it that you lose a little bit of that hunger once you reach that level, or what do you think that is? Because that's happened to several boxers.
Yeah, it happened to several, but it's not supposed to, and it shouldn't. Like, man, I just knew that I learned from it, man. And so what happened was in the fight. Let me clear that up.
Yep.
Hold on. Let me clear that up real quick. What happened in the fight was, first of all, he's a southpaw, and he was heavier than me. He came down from heavyweight, I believe, and he was much bigger, and he was a big puncher. But I came out the first round, hit him with a jab, hit him with, I think, 2 jabs. And then I did this. Why I did this? The same reason that I was just floating around with no nerves. I did this. And I switched to southpaw. And when I switched to southpaw, I threw a jab, a lazy jab. He came over the top. Boom. And he dropped me. And when he dropped me, I was on the ground. Again, I was like, oh, shit. And I got up. I wasn't even hurt. I got up, and he was in the corner, and I was slipping. And I came here. And when I came here, I saw the uppercut that everyone thinks he hit me with. I saw it coming. He did not land it. And I pulled back with all my might. And when I pulled back with all my might, this foot was like that.
You fell.
The foot was like this. And my body was this way. My foot was next to my knee. My ankle broke completely in half.
Oh.
So I got an emergency rush to the hospital, had emergency surgery, and I was on crutches. And everyone thinks I got knocked out. So at the time I was living in LA. So after the surgery, we were in Connecticut. After the surgery, and then Montel Griffin lost that fight in the first round against Roy Jones in the rematch too. So that was just a terrible night for both of us. But after the fight, I'm going back to LA, and I'm on my crutches, and I go to the comedy club every Tuesday. So I figure, like, this is what I do all the time. Every Tuesday I go to the comedy club. I see Chris Tucker, Faison Love, Guy Torrey, Joe Torrey. I see everybody, all the comedians that you know. I seen them all coming up. Eddie Murphy, Red Fox, Jamie Foxx, everybody. I seen everybody at the Comedy Store in LA.
Yeah.
And so this was what I did. So I go back on my crutches. Boy, Guy Torrey did about 45 minutes worth of material on me because they saw the fight and they swore I got knocked out, and boy, they let me have it at the club. But it was cool.
So you broke your ankle in that fight.
Yeah, in half.
What is it like bouncing back after that, man? That's got to be mental warfare.
Well, the thing was, I don't remember. The belt kind of went around a little bit because Ezra lost the belt, and I don't remember who he lost it to, but some kind of way it ended up in Italy. And my manager, Arnie Rosenthal, said, man, let's go back and get that belt. And Freddie Roach was my trainer at this point.
Oh,
Once
sweet.
again, Freddie was my trainer in the amateurs also. But now I'm back with Freddie. And we go to Italy to fight Marco Guidelli. And in Gustala, Italy. And we go over there, and I didn't know about the siestas. No one told me about the siestas. No one told Freddie. This is back in like what 90?
You're looking at like 97, 98.
Yeah, like 97, 98. So we didn't have any knowledge of a siesta. A siesta is when everything shuts down. All the stores, the restaurants, everything shuts down and doesn't open back up until like 5 or 6 or whatever.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we get over there. I'm working out. I'm drained. I'm working out. It's time for me to eat to replenish my body. I got to fight for the world title again. Man, the siesta, there was nothing open. We couldn't eat no. Me and Freddie walking around that little town, man. It was crazy. Then we found this pizza shop, and it was closed. But we saw the man, and we talked to the man, and I told him what was going on, and he said okay, and he let me come in and eat. He said, "You come here every day during this time," and he took care of me. And yeah, and so I fought Marco Guidelli in the first round because Marco Guidelli was like stocky, like and a little shorter, and I was like, I don't know, maybe I was a little leery. I might have had some flashbacks to Ezra Sellers. and I didn't do too much in the first round. I was trying to feel him out, feel him out, feel him out. And Freddie said, look, man, this guy ain't going to do nothing. You got to go out there and make him happen. You throwing your jab. You throwing your jab. Now you got to throw the 1-2. I said, all right. So we went out there, and I went back out, threw the jab a couple times. Then I feinted. Boom! Boom! Hit him with the right hand. Then when I hit him with the right hand, he turned this way, and I hit him with that hook. Boom! When I hit him with that hook, he said,
I just took a look at this, man. You know he was undefeated when you did that, Yahya?
yeah. I mean, I've always had to go into the den, to the lion's den against undefeated cats or one dude with one loss. So they always had the ups on me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always had the advantage. But I got that belt back. And boy, that was a beautiful feeling. And then this is where the dirty stuff happens. They offer me another fight to fight another Italian guy in Italy to defend my title. And I think they were going to give me $25,000 more. I said, man, you know what? Y'all got to have this damn belt. And I gave it up. That's when I started knowing, like, you know what, man, this is not right. I started seeing, I was like, man, I need better.
You gave up the belt?
Yeah. I gave it the belt, man. I said, man,
know that, man.
I'm not going back over there to fight y'all, whoever you got, for basically the same amount of money. No, I'm not doing that.
What was the politics like in boxing back then? I mean, I know there's a lot of it in there now. I hear the talk all the time, but it seems like it can be a very dirty game.
Well, it's always been politics in boxing, man. I mean, there's so much on the line. Everybody wants to protect their entity because it's so much on the line. So you can't blame them for having so much interest in what they're doing, but
it's a business.
But at the same time, it's like I always say, each fighter, all of us fighters, we have to do the best that we can to get the best people around us to make sure that we get what we're supposed to get. And at the end of the day, I will never forget this. This was one of the best lessons that I've learned in boxing, and I heard this from Don King. Don King, well, this was before I turned pro. I never forgot it. Don King was in Las Vegas. Larry Holmes was there. I can't remember who he was fighting, but he was fighting at Caesar's Palace, and Don King and Larry Holmes were arguing, and Don King, well, they argued in the gym, but now Don King and one of his guys were walking through the hotel or wherever, or somewhere in the arena. And Don King said, I don't know what the hell he mad at me for. I don't know what the hell he mad at me for talking about I gave him a bogus contract. Shit, hell, you signed the contract. You get what you negotiate for. And those words never left my mind. You get what you negotiate for. And if you sign the contract, then who can you blame?
It's true.
Yeah.
You could have spoke up.
Yeah.
Dude, $25,000 more after you win the belt. It's got to be like a slap in the face.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, what goes on during this time in your career after you give up the belt? You ready to get out of boxing?
Who did I fight next?
After Gadelli, you went up against Ramon Garby.
Yeah.
That was almost a year afterwards.
Yeah, that's when I knew that I was about done with boxing. And when I fought Ramon Garby, I was dating Layla Ali, and she was getting ready to fight soon. And she came to my fight with me in Miami, and Freddie Roach was my trainer. And I was ready for this fight. I trained so hard. Like I do for every fight. I was so ready for this fight. And when I went out there in the first round, Ramon Garby threw a left hook. And he didn't land. The left hook did not land. But what I heard the left hook say, I'm going to kill you if I land, motherfucker. That's what the left hook said. I'm going to kill you if I land, motherfucker. And I'm acting at this time now. Now I'm acting, and I have an audition on Monday. The fight was on Saturday. I have an audition in LA on Monday, and we're fighting in Miami. And when I heard that hook say, I'm going to kill you if I land, motherfucker, that's when I said, you ain't going to land, motherfucker. I'm done. I'm retiring. That's what I said to myself. And I just ran around the ring. He never hit me. And then went back to the corner. Fred was like, come on, what are you doing? I said, just give me some water. Give me some water. And I just ran around the ring for the last 9 rounds. And they said Ramon Garby won. I was like, how? He didn't land. But, yeah, man, I just retired. I retired in the ring. That first round in the ring, in my mind, I retired. And that's what I did. I retired, man.
Was that hard for you to walk away from at that point in time?
Nope.
You was done with it.
Yeah, I was done with it. And, I know that I had to focus on Layla's career also. So, that's
So were you and Layla, you were already dating at this point in time?
Yes.
Yeah. So tell me about how that got started and how you ended up becoming her trainer.
So when I won, I don't remember which one of those belts it was. When I won one of those belts, I used to have parties at my house in LA. And her sister Hannah was at the party. And she was just talking with us. And I remember Guy Torrey was there specifically when she told me that her father's 57th birthday party. That's so ironic. I'm 57 now. Anyway, that when her father's 57th birthday party was going to be like the weekend or whatever coming up, and it was going to be in Vegas at the MGM, did I want to go? I was like, hell yeah, I want to go. So we went, and that's how I went to the hotel, and that's how I met Layla. And then I found out that she was boxing, but I didn't pay it any attention. Like I didn't really think she was really boxing. I thought that it was, you know, oh, this is cute. Muhammad Ali's daughter wants to box. Big hands. Sorry.
No, you're
And
good.
so I went to the gym and she and I, we started dating, and we were training at the same gym actually, except she was training in the afternoon. I was training in the morning because she was still working the job. And so I went to the gym one day. I said, "Let me see," because it was getting closer to the time for her to fight. So I was like, "Let me see." So I went to the gym, and I was like, "Nah, you need to chill. You don't need to fight yet." I said, "You need everybody's coming after you for that name." I said, "You need to protect that name." And
Yeah.
so I didn't want her to have any amateur fights because the same thing was going to happen in the amateurs, and we in the amateurs you can't control it. But I know as a professional, I would still be able to help pick her opponents and, you know, build her up slowly to make sure that she had the best shot at it. That's and uh, and then I started training her myself. She had somebody else training her that was just trying to get her to take a fight like in a month or so, something like that.
Yeah.
I got rid of
Trying to
him.
make a gimmick out of it.
Right. And I got rid of him. And yeah.
That's cool, man. What was the state of women's boxing like back then? Was it a real big thing?
No, so it wasn't a big thing. It existed. Of course, Layla started boxing because she said she was inspired by Christy Martin. So it was definitely in existence. It just wasn't a big thing. And a lot of times people took it as a gimmick, especially when you're the daughter of the greatest.
Yeah.
So with all that, with me knowing all that, and with me being such an avid Ali fan, there was no way I was gonna, you know, not allow her to go out there and do that. You know what I mean? So I just did. It was a great thing that she and I were able to come to that agreement that I would be able to train her and help her and to, you know, get her to where she needed to be before she went out there and got in that ring. And then, you know, that's the biggest part about it. The people that you have around you.
Yeah. Well, you noticed that in your own career.
Exactly. And that's what I was able to do was to take everything I learned from my career and apply it to her so that she didn't have to go through the things that I went through.
What was it like the first time meeting her old man?
Well, I met him way before I met her.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he don't remember me. I ain't, so but when we met again it was different. It was different.
What was Ali like at that point in time? Was the effects already really starting to sink in?
Man, Ali was awesome, man. And of course, yeah, some of the stuff was starting to affect him, but
Yeah.
it wasn't as bad as he thought, man. Ali's so smart, man. He used to say, "Oh man, I just sometimes I just need people to leave me alone, so I don't act like I can't talk." you know, Muhammad Ali was just my guy, man.
What was it? I know he was battling against Parkinson's, right?
Yeah,
My father-in-law has that now.
uh,
So
uh,
yeah, I've learned everything about Parkinson's.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, one of the greatest. How
yeah.
long? How long was that though? During that, like, with how long were you and Layla together? Let me put it that way.
5 years.
5 years. Yeah. How long did it take for her to become the champ?
That's a good question. Not
Um,
long. How soon? Real soon. I don't even remember.
I know a story you'll remember. I love hearing this one. Tell me about Ali telling you he was you had to marry his daughter.
Oh, yeah. So I'm at home and I get the phone call. Salaam alaikum. I said, wa alaikum assalam. What's up, champ? He said, man. I said, what's up? Man, you got to make that thing right. I said, what you talking about, champ? He said, man, you Muslim. I'm Muslim. You got to make that thing right in the eyes of Allah. I said, what you talking about? He said, man, you got to marry that woman. I said, oh. And Layla and I were already, working on that stuff and thinking about that. But the way he wanted it, it was totally different. And it was a big, very big wedding with a whole bunch of people there, like 200 and some people. And he said, no, man, people from all over, aunties, cousins. Yeah, that's my guy, man.
What was that relationship like after you and her split up? Were you guys still able to
Nah,
stay in talks?
we didn't have any communication really after that.
Really?
Yeah.
Sucks, man. It sucks. I understand though, man. What year did you guys get divorced?
5 years after we got married. I think I think it was 05.
05. Yeah, and so it looks like you picked back up. I wouldn't say like obviously not full time, but it was 10 years from your last fight with Garbe before you fought Shane Steele.
Yeah, man, because I was just, I had my gym.
Yeah.
And I was training fighters and I was still in shape and I'm training fighters every day and I'm sparring still and I'm looking at the state of boxing at that time and I'm like, yo, I could whoop these dudes at cruiserweight right now. And they was like, man, come on. I said, man, what you mean? I could whoop these dudes. So I said, I'm going to put me a little plan together. I said, with my record and my history, I'm going to have 4 fights and I'm going to fight for the WBC World Championship. They was like, man, you crazy. I said, all right, watch. I'm going to have me 2 touches just, to get me back used to it and everything. So I fought 2 fights, knocked both of those guys out. And then the 3rd fight was going to be for the NABF title. That NABF title just seems to avoid me at all costs. But, yeah, it was for the NABF title. And I figured after I win the NABF title, I'm going to fight for the WBC. So I'm fighting, what's his name?
Jason Robinson.
Jason Robinson from Chicago, yeah. Jason Robinson. And you can see he was younger. And he cut up like Edward Scissorhands. And none of that mattered to me. I was training like a dog. I was ready to do my thing. And I was flying. I was downhill on Northside Avenue. And I was running, and it was concrete. And then a patch of grass. And I stepped in the patch of grass, and it was a hole. Pulled my hamstring. My leg locked. And my body did a flip because I was running fast. My body did a flip. Now I'm back on concrete and landed on my tailbone. So now I got a bruised tailbone and I tore my hamstring or whatever. But I'm paying for this fight. I've already paid my sanction fees. I've already bought plane fights. I've already bought hotels. I'm paying everything for this. And at the time, I'm 42 years old. So I'm like, man, I got to just get better. So I got to let it rest. I'm still going to fight this dude. This dude can't whoop me. So I let it rest. But I forgot. While letting it rest, I wasn't running. And I'm 42. My cardio went down quick. And so I thought I got him out of there in the 2nd round. But Nah, he weathered the storm. And then he start hitting me to the body. Boom. Start hitting me. I told you he was cut up like Edward Scissorhands. Yeah. Yeah. And now, and we're in Georgia, in my hometown. And
Duluth.
I get uh 3 points taken away for holding. Like, come on, man. You ain't gonna, you know what I mean, rock with your home team, boy, a little bit. You ain't gonna rock with me. They kept taking points for holding, man. And he ended up winning the fight by decision. So I didn't get to fight for the WBC title. However, he did. His very next fight was for the WBC title. He lost, but my plan was working. And now at that point, I'm like, you know what? Let me go over there and get some of that overseas money. Get some of that money back I just lost. And I went over there and fought that young boy. He was like 25 years old. I think he was 25-1 or
26-0.
26-0.
Undefeated.
And listen though, man, look. So everyone knows when you go overseas, wherever they say for you to eat, you don't eat. Everyone should know that. That's an old rule in boxing. If they set you up to eat here, you eat here. But I'm 42 years old. I've been out the game for 10 years. This kid's 25 years old. He's 6'6" or something like that. I don't think for any reason that they're going to do anything to me. And I don't have any evidence that they did. But it's mighty damn suspicious because me and my boy ordered the same thing. And I was shitting and throwing up for 6 hours straight. Nothing was wrong with him. Nothing was wrong with him. Now I'm all the way in where's that fight? In Poland.
Yeah.
I'm all the way in Poland. And I'm like, man, I don't know what these people would do to me if I don't fight. I'm like, man, I'm fighting. Skip that. So I went ahead with the fight, man, and first of all, at the press conference, that was one of the ones I had the most fun at, that press conference, because I already knew, like, I'm just talking right now. I don't believe anything that I'm saying right now, so I'm really just talking. I don't believe I'm getting ready to whoop this boy and go, you know, box the brakes off him and take him to the deep waters and drown him. I don't believe any of that because I know that I'm really about to pass out from talking this much right now. And man, the first round, I just couldn't believe it. It was so easy. I was whooping that boy. I was beating the brakes off that boy. I could not believe it. I was whooping that boy. But just like my mouth is now, how dehydrated I am right now, my mouth was the color of this shirt. How dehydrated I was. And I couldn't get any saliva. And man, I'm talking about, it was the worst feeling ever. Throwing up and shitting for 6 hours straight. So
That's bad enough without a boxing match.
exactly. And so the first round, I beat the brakes off of him. Then the second round, started out beating the brakes off of him. And then it was all over. I was all done. I was tired, gassed out. And I still believe I won the second round. Then the third round, I think it was the third round, I was just completely done. And I was like, trying to get my mouth wet. And, oh, man, it was terrible. And so I was like, all right, I'm out of here. But at the same time, we're all the way in Poland. I want to get my money. So I don't want them to say I didn't want to fight. I wanted to fight. I just was dehydrated. So he hit me and I laid down. And I got up at like 8. And then we kept boxing. The referee said box. And then he hit me again. And I laid back down. I said, damn, Then I got up again. The referee said, box again. I said, damn. I thought he was going to at least give me an 8 count or stop the fight or something. No, he did give me an 8 count, but he didn't stop it. And then the dude came back at me. I said, boom. I missed him, though. And when I missed him, it took all the energy out of me, man. I just rolled with that punch. I just rolled all over the ground and I just laid out. That's it. I'm done. Pay me or don't pay me. I'm done. You ain't going to kill me over here.
You knew that was your last match?
Yeah, man. That was definitely it. I knew that going into the fight.
How much different was it with in the 40s versus like the early 30s?
Man.
Make a big difference.
Oh, my God. Yes, sir. A huge.
What'd you think about Tyson going in there in his late 50s?
Well, I mean, I don't think that there's an age limit on acting.
Okay. I think I'm picking up on what you're laying down.
Yeah, man. I mean, you could act for many, many years. I see lots of actors and actresses going to their 80s and 90s still acting.
So you don't think that was real?
Man, come on, man. You think Jake Paul could do anything with Mike Tyson at any age? Mike Tyson been training all his life. Jake Paul been training for 5 years. Are you serious, man?
I mean, I hear you, man. I hear you. But then again, it looked like
I will whoop Jake Paul right now. I'm 57 years old. I will whoop Jake Paul right now.
Jake, you heard it here, man.
Hey, man, I was training to fight in an exhibition match last year. I was going to fight the, what's his name? An MMA dude that wanted to box, and they wanted to fight me in his hometown of Houston. Mike, I forgot his name.
Well-known MMA fighter?
I guess kind of like in his town. But,
okay.
I mean, I was training. I was sparring these young boys. I sparred Najee Lopez. And when I sparred Najee Lopez, I was like, ooh, it's a little different. Because he said, come on, Unc, I ain't going to stop punching you, Unc. He a young boy, and he can fight. He's like, I ain't going to stop punching you, Unc. He just kept punching the whole time. I was like, good Lord. It's a little different now. But I whooped that boy, man. Jake Paul is nothing like Najee Lopez.
How you think he's been for the boxing industry as a whole, though, man?
Now,
I mean, he's put a lot of eyeballs on it.
Now, I'm not mad at Jake Paul.
Yeah.
You asked me about that fight. That's how that came up. I'm not mad at Jake Paul at all. What Jake Paul has done is, number one, he's taken it very seriously. He's hired the right people to train him, to advise him, and to help him get to where he is today. He's taken it very seriously. He trains extremely hard. So I cannot knock him for that. But when you go to the top tier of something that I've been involved in my whole life, and you just think you can whoop him, that part right there, it just don't float well with me. But no, I definitely think that Jake Paul has done great for himself, of course, but he's done some great things for the sport of boxing. He's definitely put eyeballs on women's boxing like more than there ever have been. And he's made these fighters wealthy. He's made these fighters rich, and he's paid these fighters way better than anybody else has before Turkey Al-Sheikh come along.
Yeah. So we got last fight there in Poland, November of 2010. We're in January 2025, and you got a boxing event coming up. You're not on it, but
No.
you're the one promoting it, man. Why now? Why 15 years later you want to get back in here, Yahya?
Well, boxing is what I know, man. It's what I love. And, like I said before, I see the talent that's in Atlanta and in the South. You know, I just feel that with my knowledge in promoting, if given the right opportunity with the right fighter, I think we can really make something happen. Like just like I came along with Layla, and everyone I'm sure thought this was going to be a joke, but 20, 24 and 0 undefeated Hall of Famer. I think that I know what I knew what I was talking about then. I think I know what I'm talking about now. So I'm looking for the right fighters to sign, but until I find that right fighter, I'm still going to continue to promote boxing and give young fighters opportunities.
There anybody in particular you got your eye on right now?
Yeah, I don't want to speak on it because then
No, I
everybody
got
got their eye on it.
you. Yeah,
Yeah. No, I mean, there's a couple of them, man. There's like two of them, two
yeah.
maybe three of them. Yeah.
That's
So
good, man. It's definitely an exciting time for boxing. Boxing's been getting more of a spotlight than it has in several years. You
yes,
know, you've had the MMA boxing crossovers, then you got the gimmick fights with Jake Paul. Uh, it's definitely what do you think about these MMA guys getting in there? Do you expect them to be able to go toe to toe with the professional boxer? Yeah, yeah.
I don't think so. I
I don't
don't
think
think
so
so.
either.
You know,
The record hasn't spoke so well.
right? I don't see how it's very disrespectful to the sport of boxing when you think you can just come in here and jump in the ring with me. I've been doing this all my life, training all my life to be a boxer, to not get hit by professional boxers, to not get hit by world champion boxers. And you think that you can come over here and you're not even a boxer. You're an MMA fighter and you think you can come over here into my arena and hit me when I've been spending my whole life making sure I don't get hit? No, you can't hit me. You can't hit me. Bring your ass.
Be the same thing getting in the MMA ring, I would think. You know, I mean, you guys were trained to do what you do, and you're the
Right.
best. You're the elite.
And I take my hat off. I'm not getting in no ring with no MMA fighter. The MMA fighter that I was fighting, we were doing boxing.
Yeah.
I'm not getting in no MMA ring.
Oh man, it's crazy. I mean, the one I take that back. The one that I think did really well was. Did you see the Vitor Belfort versus Holyfield fight? That was hard to watch, man, because Holyfield in his prime, that guy wouldn't have had a chance, man.
And yeah,
And it's sad to see someone like one of the greatest of all time, man. Like he's got that love and that passion. Looks good, wants to be in the ring, but
right.
you ever get that urge to want to get back in the ring, Yahya?
Man, I just told you I was getting ready to fight a
Yeah.
year ago. I was going to fight that dude in Houston, and then he saw some footage of me and decided that we
No.
were fighting in Houston, and he decided he didn't want me to embarrass him in his hometown. And let me tell you, I was not mad. I was so sore from sparring them young kids, man. Oh man, I was not mad.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I've enjoyed talking to you, man. It's been so long. There's so much other stuff we could talk about. Got you was in
Oh yeah.
Creed 3.
Let me
That's
just
a
say
whole
this.
podcast in and of itself. How that happened.
Well,
Um,
let me just say this first. The fight, the South got something to say about boxing too. It's February 15th. It's in Jonesboro, Georgia, at the Tara Event Center, 7651 Tara Boulevard in Jonesboro. The Tara Event Center, also known as Champion Boxing Gym. Now, the link to the purchase tickets are on my site, on my Instagram. Uh, you can put it up right now. They're on the
I'll
post.
put it up.
They're on the poster.
Oh, I can pull the poster back up.
There you go. One of them's to purchase tickets right now, and the other one is to my Instagram. And if you can't make it to the fight, it's being streamed on Black Prime. So just go to Black Prime and you can watch it right there. Now, those two up there, Brian Norman and Greg Hackett, those are the main events. But we got some hell of a fighters on that card.
Who's that? That the top two?
Yeah, that's Brian Norman on the left, Brian Norman Sr. on the left, and that's Greg Hackett on the right.
Oh, so that's the one you said the father's fighting that night, and the son is as well.
No, the son's not fighting.
Oh, son's not fighting, but he's getting into fighting.
No, the son is the world champion already. The son is the welterweight world champion. He's signed to Top Rank.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. And
I gotta come see this, man. You said you did one back in November?
Yeah, November 23rd. Yep.
Oh man. Where are you finding these fighters, Yahya?
This is what I've been doing all my life.
Yeah.
All my life. Been grinding all my life. Sacrifice. Hustle, pay the price. That's what I've been doing, bro. But yeah, man, I want everybody to check out this fight, man. It's gonna be a serious show. And the fighters that are on the undercard, man, we got some. Pull that poster back up, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you look to the far right, you got Joshua Macho Moreno. He got a big following here in Georgia. You look to the right next to him, that's Isabel Vasquez. She's 1-0. She can fight like a mug. Next one is Mo Millions from Atlanta. Traquan Pettis from Atlanta. I can't see them two. Oh, those are the two cats from Philly. You got Ishmael fighting Kevin Beltran, and you got Dennis Thompson against LaVal Whittington. So it's gonna be a hell of a fight card, and I think everyone should really come out there. The last one was awesome, and like I said, buy your tickets now because it's definitely gonna be a sellout. Go to the link. You can go to tkotix.com/YAH2. Or just
There
follow.
you go, guys. Make sure to get out there February 15th. I am going to do my best to be there. I want to see this, man. I've actually never got to witness a boxing match live.
Oh,
so I would love it.
You're going to be hooked.
I'd love it, man. I love watching it already.
Yeah.
And I tell you, we're going to get Yahya on some future shows, guys, when they like the big fights and stuff come up. I've got other stuff to talk to you about, but man, I enjoyed this tonight. I really did. And guys, please go out there, support these guys. You never know. Might see them in a championship match on the screen one day soon. So.
Absolutely. And one more thing. I'm an actor and I love to act. So think about me in your next movie. I've been in Creed, BMF, Rocky 6, Rocky Balboa. I'm just looking at my IDMB. I've been in a lot. Trying to do more.
I want to do an episode on that about the Creed, man, because I know there's a story leading up to that. You can find articles, guys, if you look it up. But that was a challenging time for you.
Yes, sir.
During COVID.
Yes, sir.
Guys, go and check that out. I promise we'll get Yahya back on sometime soon. Yahya, I enjoyed it, my man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it too, my man. I had a ball.
We'll see you next time.